Well, everyone, it is 10 o'clock, and we are so excited about our call this morning. We are going to share some information, some awesome information. We want to welcome everybody. I am going to turn it over to our executive director at this time, Ms. Sandra Shelson. What we're also going to do is mute all the calls. So at the end of the call, we will have a time for answers and questions and answers. We will, only thing you need to do is *6 yourself, and you will be unmuted, and you will be able to ask your question. But at this time, I'm going to mute all the callers, and then, Sandra, the floor is yours.
Muted.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2022. Oh, too many twos there. And our first call of the year. We are so excited. We've been doing this now for quite a while. And so as we kind of thought about it, what kind of big picture changes should we make? And so we wanted to try to do something maybe that will be a little bit more helpful, more meaningful, more impactful. And, we have had some incredible callers in the past. Oh, my God. Speakers. We have done, it's just been an amazing adventure. But, we wanted to see if we could be even more impactful, even more relevant to what everyone needs. So going forward, our calls are going to be based around a theme. And you will see that so that, we will always try to provide as much relevant information to you all as possible. And we look forward to suggestions. Our speaker today, who I'm very excited to hear, will be talking about something that we have not had an opportunity to think about. But I'm not going to steal any of that thunder right now. I want to do my usual little, usually I'm in the middle of the call, but today I'm going to say this. We all are still under the cloud of COVID. COVID has decided to try to trick us all by different forms. We had the original, and then we had the Delta variant, which, reared her ugly head, and now we've got Omicron. And for those who have been vaccinated, for those who have had COVID in the past, we still have to be very, very diligent. There was someone on the call earlier who was talking about having had it. There are people in my office who have had it after having had COVID previously and being triple vaxxed, with the booster. You can still get this. So all of the protocols that we had in the past, I guess masks are just going to be the new fashion statement here on in. But the numbers have just been incredible. But in order for us to ever turn the corner, please, we are not even at 50% of being vaccinated yet as a state. And I know that those who are getting Omicron, even though they've been vaccinated, it does tend to undermine our efforts to get more people vaccinated. However, if you are vaccinated and you do contract this new variant, your symptoms are going to be much less. You're more than likely not going to end up in the hospital. And, we'll never turn the corner and get where we need to be unless we all are very vigilant. All right, that's the end of my soapbox, and I'm going to turn it over to Olivia with the partnership, and she's going to talk about some of the additional new dynamics of our calls. As many of you probably noticed, we've sort of rebranded it, and it's still going to be a terrific Tuesday when we have these calls. But as I was saying earlier, with the new concept we thought that the Power Hour would be a good way to stress what it is that we're trying to do. We are also going to record them, and I'm going to let, as a podcast format going forward. And I'm going to let Olivia tell you a little bit more about it. Olivia?
Unmuted.
Yes, I am here.
Here you are.
I hope everyone's having an amazing morning thus far. Hope you all enjoyed your holiday coming off of MLK. And so I know, when you all got the notification that we were switching from Terrific Tuesdays to PHM Power Hour, I know sometimes change may cause a little bit of apprehension because of fear of the unknown. But I am here to give some kind of comfort to you all that, these calls will still have the same feel as Terrific Tuesday did. Although now we'll be focusing on a specific topic per call, this is not to say that, you all are not able to ask questions, or not able to, get any kind of community announcements that you have, because we will still have, we will still be able to do that. And so, with the name being changed to Power Hour, we also are going to a podcast format, which would be beneficial, just in case, I missed I really hate that I missed the call on Tuesday. Well, we'll be able to go back and you can actually listen to the call to see if there was anything that you missed, or, just because hearing those conversations could help spark, different ideas, and maybe can be able to help, the conversations you're having in your community. And so we're going to be housing those episodes. Will be on our Power Hour Facebook page, and we're going to send that link out so you all can make sure you all like the page. The page should be public by the end of the day. So starting tomorrow, you should be able just to search the Partnership Power Hour on Facebook and be able to like the page and follow the page to get any updates that we have about the calls, upcoming call times, upcoming speakers. You all will be able to stay in the loop between that. And since we're also doing it as a podcast format, that means we will begin recording these calls. So if you don't want to be recorded, I don't want to deter you from speaking, but you'll be able to send your questions in, and we can give those to the speaker after the meeting, so you can make sure that you get your question answered. I won't hold. I believe that's all that I had to say. If anyone has any questions about that, I can take a few about the upcoming changes, but if not, we can go ahead and get into our speaker for today.
Okay, well, thank you, Olivia. Our speaker today is Brandee Harrington, and Brandee is the founder of an entity called Legacy Keeper, Inc. And this is the topic I was telling you about that I'm so excited about. Although it's a topic a lot of us are uncomfortable with sometimes. I know that, my parents are getting older, and, every time they talk about after they're gone, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But, there are stories that I've heard throughout my life, whether it is the unexpected death of a parent or the unexpected death of a spouse or a loved one. There are things that we need to know. When we were talking about getting Brandee to be our speaker, I said, I am horrible about it. There are things in my life, at home that I take care of, and there are things that I'm on a need-to-know basis. Let my husband take care of it. But if something were to happen to one of us, God forbid, I would be in desperate shape because I don't know where all this information is. So this end-of-life planning topic today, I think is something that is going to, sometimes it's very uncomfortable. I think it's beautiful concept for us all to embrace that these things do happen, and we need to be prepared. So, Brandee, the time is yours. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak, and if you are on, you just need to *6 yourself. Thank you, Brandee.
Hey. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes,
Hello,
loud and clear.
everyone. Hello. Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you. I am Brandee Harrington. I am the founder of the Legacy Keepers, Inc. And I do wear a couple hats as well. I am also a real estate broker here in Jackson, Mississippi. But for this particular talk, I will be talking to you all about my company, Legacy Keepers, Inc., and this important topic. And so before we begin, I want to know, how secure are your coins? Now, I know you may be asking me, what do you mean, how secure are my coins? I have money in the bank. My checking account and my savings account is protected. My credit card bills are paid. What do you mean? And I'm not asking about the location of your money. I'm asking, if something were to happen, would your money be stewarded in the right manner? Now, in order for you all to really take this in and to really make this personal, I've devised a quiz that I would like you all to really take a self-assessment to see how secure are your coins. Now, I'm not sure who on this call may be driving or who is in a position not to follow along. But for those of you who have access to the internet, please go out to a really quick website for me. Please pull up a browser or any browser of your choice and go to B as in boy, bit.ly. So bit.ly /secure your coins. And coins is spelled COINZ. So that's bit.ly /secure your coins. Now, there's a couple questions I would like you all to answer for me and take that quiz. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do so.
Muted. Unmuted.
If anyone is having any issues, please unmute yourself and let me know. Okay. It's B as in boy, IT .ly. And if you go over where the shift bar is on the right hand side, use that next to the question mark. And then secure your coins. SECURYOURCOINZ. Did that pull up for you? Let's see. Maybe I need to go to another browser because it's still not. Okay, and if not, I will make sure I will get with you here after this, and we'll make sure we get you this quiz, okay? If you can't get it. You still haven't gotten it?
I have not. Let's see.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do really quickly then for the sake of time is I'm going to go ahead and read the questions for you. And if anyone else has not been able to get in, let me just go and read the questions and you can just write your answers down for me. The first question is, do you keep written a record of your monthly expenses? And it says, I have a written down and or partially automated budget. I have a checking and a savings account for my budget. Yes or no? The next question is, do you have a written record of your employer name or supervisor and number? And I have given my loved ones the name and phone number of my employer and or HR representative. Yes or no? The third question is, can your beneficiaries access your bank account? My beneficiaries know who I bank with and have access should they need to pay my bills. Additionally, they know how to get in touch with my CPA, insurance agent, certified financial planner, and or estate planner. Yes or no? Number 4, do you have a copy of your life insurance policy number and the policy amount? I have adequate insurance for my family for my health, life, disability, and home and auto insurance needs. Yes or no? Number 5, do you have a retirement account? I know my retirement goals and have created a plan with my financial planner, HR rep, and or by myself. I have committed to making contributions to this account. I have a plan for retirement and investment building. Yes or no? Number 6, do you have a copy of your estate planning completed? Estate planning is a will completed with trust with beneficiaries named. This means that your estate, jewelry, real estate, cash, no matter your amount in the bank account, has a plan for it. Yes or no? Number 7, do you have other sources of income such as rental income and or stocks? Is this information detailed and written down? Yes or no? And the last question is, have you documented all website login and passwords? My family knows how to get into my online accounts should they need to do any online banking and or pay for anything online. Additionally, should any site ask for any two-factor authentication, my family can access that information via my phone. Yes or no? Now, for those of you who have taken this quiz online, you received an answer to these 8 questions. Now, let me talk to you all about my answer, because I'm going to use me. Let me tell you the score I got. I was placed in a situation where I failed because my mother, and this was all pre-COVID, she did not prepare me for any of those answers to those questions. You see, she had gotten sick, and I was sitting in the hospital room with the doctor, and I didn't know anything. You see, as a middle-only girl, I was supposed to have known these answers, and yet I didn't. Because, see, my mother, although she and I casually had these conversations, she never really had told me should something happen and she was unable to talk to me. She never really told me what she should do. Now, she wasn't deceased or anything. She just didn't communicate to me, if something happens, go do this, or this is what you should do, and or make sure this happens. So here I am, sitting in the hospital room, wondering, oh my goodness, what do you do? And if I'm being honest with you all, I was quite embarrassed, because this is a conversation that my mother knew she should have been talking to me about, but she just didn't even really want to talk to me about. You see, not talking to our family members in the event of an emergency doesn't do us any good. In fact, it actually makes things worse. Because what we realize is that we actually make our family members struggle to find certain documents when we need these answers. You see, think about what you all have and what you work hard and all of the things that you all are doing. If I were to ask you, if we were on a call and we were in a setting, what are you working hard for? Oftentimes, most people say they work hard for what? Their family. But if you ask yourself, how many of you all have even told your family members, where have you discussed with them, hey, if something were to happen, this is how you access these things. You have not even given them that information. Then have you done them a service or a disservice when it comes down to your information? You see, we are guarded when it comes down to our personal information, and I get it. But in the other part, we have not done ourselves our due diligence with our family members by being able to be vulnerable, to being able to ensure that all of that information is given and being able to make sure that they can have it in an event of an emergency. So for me, being in the hospital, I realized this was not something I wanted to do anymore. So I literally penned what you all have access to now called the COINZ Legacy Keeper. And I realized that I didn't want to be in the situation again. I realized that I've been a planner all my life, because I realized that growing up, I've been always into detail. As far as I can remember, I've been a planner. As far as I remember the details in life. I remember growing up, and I literally would plan my birthday party. I would plan getting ready for school. I would plan the week. I would even plan what I would wear. I would plan my outfits, even down to the socks, down to my hair bows, and what I would do for the weekend. So for me, details were very much common for me. But as I got older and would tell people how much I like details, people started to tell me that I was OCD and I was doing too much. So I stopped doing and telling people that I love the details. And so I stopped planning for things as it relates to and telling people about big things. And so what I realized is that had I been a person that continued to plan, I would have asked my mother about these things. I would have planned for something like this event. Because the details to me are important. Even now that I have a family, even now that I'm a business owner, even now that I am an investor and a business owner in real estate, details come natural for me. And so with that being the case, I realized that being a person of details, when it comes down to your money, your coins, you have to have the details as it relates to what your family needs to know in the event of an emergency. So those questions, those things that I asked you all to do on the front end, you're going to need to know those things, or at least your family will, so that in the event of an emergency, they aren't scrambling when they need those answers. So the COINZ Legacy Keeper walks them through step by step to ensure that all of the things that you worked hard for is laid out for them systematically so that they will be able to access that information when they need it. How many people do you know right now, like I heard earlier that was announced, are going through and have had issues with COVID? How many people have we lost to COVID whose family members probably are struggling and or looking for information as it relates to COVID? We've lost several members and family members who've gone too soon due to COVID. I told you all earlier that my background is not only an author, but I am a real estate agent. I've had people whose family members have passed away due to COVID, and I've gotten calls from people who have said, we've lost family members, and now we're wondering, what does that family, what do we do now that that family member has passed away, and now what do we do with the house? How are we going to be able to, can we keep the house in that person's name? I mean, can we stay in the house even though the person has died? Because we didn't have the proper information, or we have not had a will, or we've not done an estate plan. There are several things now that family member is concerned about because, again, they didn't have things in order. Or now we can't access the bank account to pay the mortgage. These things are happening because we aren't having the discussion. No, it's not a fun conversation. Nobody wants to talk about it. However, it's a needed conversation. But as I think about being in that hospital room, as I look back and I remember the questions that were asked of me, when I think about you instantly now becoming power of attorney and or making decisions for your loved ones, and they're asking you what your next steps are for your family member, is at that moment where you really need to have answers. It's at that moment that you realize that this conversation has to be had. This is no longer something that can be put off. This is no longer a conversation that you must wait. Because time now means I need to do it. And time is now. Because at this moment, life is in your hands to make either a life and death situation or make a call for a life and death situation, or you're literally going to have to make a decision for your family member at that moment. Because if your family member cannot speak, when do you have time to say, wonder what they want me to do? can I get into their bank account, or how can I access this, or where do I find this information? My cry to people now is, don't wait to have this conversation. Let's take the time that we have now and let's be proactive and let's do it. Let's get it done. Finalize those conversations now. And once it's done, it's done. Just because we're talking about it doesn't mean we're going to pass away tomorrow, because that is a myth. Just because we're putting things in motion and making sure we're securing our future for our families does not mean that it's going to happen tomorrow. That is a myth as well. And just because we're putting ourselves in a better position for our family members and or our children to ensure that they're not going to struggle is not a bad thing. We are in the Bible Belt, so I will say this. Just because I want to leave my children a life insurance policy is not a bad thing, because the Bible says to leave, that I'm supposed to leave a wealth for my children. That is not a bad thing. And then I don't want my kids to struggle. I'm sorry. I'm not going to have my kids struggling. So for me, I urge people, and I actually tell people it's okay to do that. So I ask and I leave you all with this. As you all go back to your respective areas, as you all think about this weekend, as you all think about obviously traveling and as you gear up for 2022, with seeing family members making plans, and even as you all are thinking about what are your New Year plans, right? Because I know a lot of people are going to make plans this year. Think about how you're going to incorporate, what am I going to do for my family this year to ensure that all that I've worked hard for is protected. Because this is not a fun conversation, but this is a needed conversation. And one way we can do that is to ensure that you have these conversations with your family. And then if you are protected, then you're checking in with your family that, let's just say, for example, your mother, your brothers, aunts, relatives, and making sure they're protected. Because you never know if you're going to have to be, that family member that has to be the one to take care of it all. Because we have that in families where we see you're the responsible one.
Hey, Brandee, this is Sandra. A couple of things, too. In my previous life, before becoming the executive director for the partnership, I'm a lawyer. And everything that you said is just absolutely on point to have all of your financial documents in line. But I also wanted to make sure that people, and you're talking about the hard conversations. All of these are very hard conversations. But it's also the wishes of the person. And let me give you a perfect example. There are those of us who might prefer to be cremated, but the people left behind might not want that. So if that's going to be your final wish, things like that need to be put in writing, and you need to make sure that your wishes are known to your family members. I also mentioned that my parents are getting older, and there are things that, as well as me, I've got 2 kids and a husband that need to know what my wishes are. But there's certain things that we all need to take care of. In Mississippi, you can have a handwritten will, but as a lawyer, and especially if you have, an estate that, or your parents do, family members do, a lawyer drawn-up will is going to be the best thing. What kind of things, as I mentioned, whether you want to be buried, cremated, whatever, a funeral plan. Do not resuscitate, advance directives, medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney. All of those things are incredibly important, whether you want to be an organ donor. I mean, many of us have already done that on our driver's license. But what are your wishes? What are the plans? And quite frankly, I have seen within my own family, people, siblings of the age of my parents, arguing to the death over a teapot. So, in order to make the next phase of our existence, meaning after we're gone, make it as smooth as possible, I think it's incredibly important that you have those hard conversations, as Brandee was talking about, but I think it's also important that you get it in writing, that you put down what your wishes are, and make sure that in those documents that Brandee was talking about, that those things are listed. Where are they? The clearer things are while we're still here, it's going to be easier for those that we leave behind. And I just wanted to throw that in, Brandee, because everything that you were talking about is incredibly important, both while you are alive, as well as if the unspeakable happens. So I'll shut up right now.
Exactly. And I think, just for preferences, the journal does have a part that talks about wishes, but my basis was more so from a financial standpoint, for clarity standpoint, because everything is about money in the sense that if you can't pay, this is to be done before an emergency, and oftentimes it's not if you pass away. This is to be used before an emergency in the event where, let's say you don't pass away. Let's say if you are just literally incapacitated for 4 to 6 weeks. Okay? Oftentimes, if you can't pay or something, you still need to have things in a place where your family can be able to access your funds. And so I apologize if that was just one way of saying that story, but I do want to share that.
Brandee, you don't have to apologize. I was just jumping in from a different perspective, just because, like I said, I have a legal background, and I just wanted to make sure that in addition, you're absolutely right, that the ability to get the treatment or to get the needs for your loved ones while they're still with us and afterwards, very important. But, it's a lot of times it's the argument, and I have this within my own family, is, what do you want, what kind of measures to keep you alive? My husband and I have completely different theories about that. So that's all I was doing.
Right.
No, everything you said is right on point. Thank you.
And you're right, because I think even if you think about from real estate standpoint, some people have different views as, they don't want the house, and I want to sell a house, and a family member wants to keep the house of rental income. Again, everything has to be written out for the sake of what you may want to do with that property. So everything has to be written out. Hence why Legacy Keepers Inc. is about writing. Okay, hence why Inc. is the name of our company. So at the end of the day, Legacy Keepers Inc. is about writing. It's about documenting everything that you do. So there is no reason for the person who reads and runs after it will not be able to understand what your wishes are. There is very much a clear-cut, black and white, notarized, documented, legal framework as to what your wishes are. And so the other part of having the COINZ Legacy Keeper is that whether you're able to only be down for a few weeks, you can be able to have a power of attorney. You can have certain things in place should you need a person to be able to manage your finances. That's another benefit of having this framework done. Because we do know that if you are unable to pay your bills, I often tell people that you think about COINZ in the sense of finances where all it takes is one time to get behind and you play catch up, right? You literally have late fees. Then late fees turn into what? Other things. Then you have late fees on top of now you've dug a hole into having other different things go on. Then it's another bill. Then that bill now has the first of the month paid with the bill is due again. So now the bill is due for some late fees. Now it's due again. But I'm still out sick. But my family member, and this happened to me when my mom was sick, I could not pay the bill because I didn't have access to the money. So I literally had to wait until she got better, which meant now the mortgage was late. Okay? Not that she didn't want me to pay it. It's not that I couldn't pay it. It's just I have access to it. Now, I would love to have paid it, but I, at the time, didn't make that kind of money. So now, here it is. I have to wait for her to get better. You think about late fees, first month, then additional rent is paid. Additional bill is paid is due. And then imagine how much money now is paid, has to be paid as a result of you not paying that bill on time. So COINZ is not only there to talk about giving access to your next of kin or that power of attorney to save you money, but to also ensure everything stays afloat. If you have it like that, or you have an emergency fund to ensure that everything stays afloat for your finances and for your bills in your house. Keep in mind that this is needed to have your family members pay your bills so that you all are not paying extra for outside things such as late fees and charges that are associated when you don't pay on time.
So, Brandee, is it okay if we ask callers if they have any specific questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, for our callers, if you have any questions with Brandee, just *6 yourself and we'll allow them right now.
And Sandra, before we start getting the questions, I just want to say thank you so much, Brandee, for sharing this information. But what was an eye opener for me when Brandee came to our home and spoke to a small group was, and he's referenced several of the things that you need access right then. I did not think about the children. Our children were not on our checking account. Myself and my husband was on the account. If something happened to myself and my husband, we would have access to it. But we never thought about if something happened to us, if something happened to both of us at the same time. So we had to go and put their names on our checking accounts. And then with this legacy book, as she speaks of, it is a great record-keeping method where you can write all of this information down. And our goal is to actually, we bought 2 books, but we want to have one at the house with all of this information in it. But we also want to put one in a safe deposit box. So if the house burns down and we can't, and they cannot get to this book, that they will still have access to this information because it's so important. Like she said, if something happened to myself and my husband, the children were not on the account. They were not beneficiaries, or their name was not listed. Therefore, they would be in a predicament of having to try to pay our bills while we were in a state where we could not. So that just did something to me because I realized we were not ready. Every year on our anniversary, we'll go out of town and I'll say, Charles, if something happens to both of us today, we would not be prepared. But listening to this information that Brandee shared with us, it helped me to understand and how important it is. Although we don't want to have these conversations, we need to have these conversations because we don't want our children left in a state. They're already, upset and going through so much because we're gone. But just imagine the financial burden that could be left on them if we don't do what we need to do now to prepare them for if something happens. So making sure that was one thing we went around during the holidays, making sure that we had the children's names on the account in case something happened. That was Brandee. That was my aha moment when you said that, because I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think, it never crossed my mind that what would they do? They wouldn't have access. So I just wanted to throw that out as well and encourage you we're going to place this information on our website to encourage you to get this journal or start your own, whatever you need to do. But you want to get this information down so you won't leave your children or your family members pretty much hopeless and in a certain state. But I just wanted to throw that in. Sorry about that, Sam, Brandee. But please, if you have any questions, please star 6 yourself and ask those questions at this time.
Also, when you get the other thing that at your home is definitely when you get them, take it to your lawyer, your estate planner. I have definitely taken it to mine, and I've actually taken it to several attorneys here. And if you take this to them, one of the things is it makes their job so much easier because everything that they need is in this journal for them to be able to help with everything that they need for you. To Sandra's point, I'm not a licensed attorney, but it helps them when they build out their estate planning, because this does help build out your estate planning. Because I do talk about making sure you have an estate plan. You do need one for your family. So definitely want to make sure I put that out there.
Any questions from our callers? Fix yourself and unmute, and you can ask your question.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. This is Olivia, and I know we're saying like these are hard conversations, but how would you start that conversation with your parents or with your loved ones? Even though it's a tricky thing, are there any tactics that you have, or are there certain things we should avoid saying when having these conversations?
That's a great question. One of the things that I get asked is this question, and you just have to be honest. Ask your question. Ask your loved one. I like to ask, what if? What if something happens? What are they plans? What do they think about it? Because what if is hypothetical to most people. They're not threatening. They're a little bit easier for them to digest, and then they are able to feel like you're not attacking them. So what if something happens? What do you want us to do? Or what if, whatever the case is. And if you ask what if, most of the time people feel like, oh, okay, what if may not come true? Because then they feel like, oh, okay, you're not really talking to me. It's just a maybe question. So try a what if or in the event and see if that response allows them to start opening up so they can be able to answer and you can be able to get what you need from them. And start to see if they'll be able to give you more of what you can kind of start putting in place for them.
Okay. I have a question as well. This is Earlene. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Earlene.
Okay, thank you. This is very important, and I'm so glad to hear this information. And I want to ask internal, and I think you may have answered the question just for clarity. The journal, when you write all of this down and you put this in a journal, in order for this to become official, you still need to take this to an attorney and have a will drawn up. Is that correct?
So the next step would definitely be
Okay, that's my question. Would it be considered official if I just had a journal left here, but it's not official? It's not, by an attorney or anything. Would that be considered official or would not?
So this is not negate a will. So you still need a will. This is just the small details outside of the will. So your passwords, your bank account information. This is the smaller details that I was referencing that you accompanies the will. So your will, you still need a will. You still need an estate plan. So you're going to still need to do all of that. So you will still need to go get a will.
And can I add something as well, Brandee? And I'm just going to share with you all the journal that she provided, that she's created, some of the categories that it has in it, like the bills. You'll list your bills, you'll list your life insurance policies, you'll list your passwords, your account information, that's your bank accounts, social security information, you'll list your rental information if you have it, stock information if you have it, burial information, attorney information, because a lot of times our children don't even know who is our attorney, who is the attorney, who do they need to talk to, the estate information. They need to know about your retirement plan, your pension plan. They need to know your banking information and your vehicle information. So if something happened to me today, I need to make sure that my children know they need to contact Sandra Shelton at the Partnership for Health in Mississippi. How many times do we actually tell our children who we work with? They know where we work. They might know the location, but do they know all the ins and out of if I have a policy on the job and things of that nature? So this journal that Brandee has created, I'll say this too, is absolutely beautiful. And on the front of it, she has a couch that has money coming out of it, because that's what's happening. We're losing the money in the couches, and our children are not able to access this money. So this journal that she provides is just a journal to help you and your loved ones manage your resources when you're gone. This journal to me is like first steps. And then you making the next steps of getting the will done, getting the estate plan in writing, finding a lawyer and things of that nature. But those little things that we forget about, this is what this journal consists of. Brandee, am I saying that okay?
Thank you, Sharon. That was the best first person ever. But to Sharon's point, yes, I'll be honest, I did it in the opposite. Again, I was birthed into this. This is actually an assignment for me. But when I sat down, my husband and I, when we sat down to do our estate plan, we do have an estate attorney, and we do have an estate plan, and I have a will. And so we have all of that, and he has my journal actually. And he was like, "Wow, I wouldn't have asked you all these things, but now that you have given it to me, thanks." Because he wouldn't have asked me for the small details, to Sharon's point, because he told me that when I filled out all of our stuff, he didn't normally need to get all of that because that's not normally what he asked. Now, Sharon, you're an attorney. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you all, if you have expertise in this, when you create a will, do you all ask for the small details as it relates to passwords and or banking account information?
Now, Sandra, answer that, because I'm not an attorney, Brandee. That's Sandra.
Right. No. Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
So the thing about wills is that it can be as much or as little. So it just depends. As I said earlier, in Mississippi, you can have a handwritten will that, as long as it's witnessed. It can be very problematic, but I've seen wills that were written 30 years ago, and in the course of life, it might have been written when there was one child, and then there were subsequent children, so that it just wasn't up to date. I can tell you that lawyers who practice will and estate law, that there are wills that are as detailed as your journal, but a lot of times they are not. So that's why it's very important to get that small stuff, the immediate stuff, that information that will be needed just to get through the day, so to speak, on the front end. to help alleviate some of the problems. But as far as the will is the person that is making the will dictates what is in the will. You know, the attorney might ask to say it'd be a good idea, but in the end, you know, it is the testator, the person that is writing the will, that dictates the level of detail and what is in the will. You know, it could be, I want to give that teapot to cousin Alma. Okay, well, what happens is that cousin Alma predeceases you, and then there's that teapot. So, you know, every scenario is it's a seemingly easy way to practice law, but I can tell you from experience, it can also be the biggest fight, the biggest headache over that teapot.
And I want to add something else too, Sandra, that you said, you know, about the will that was 30 years old. Making sure once we get that will in place to make sure that we update it. Because even in our situation, I thought about if something would have happened prior to me hearing this presentation, everything would have been left pretty much to my oldest son, because the time when we did all our policies and things like that, he was the oldest one, and we didn't think about it. But then when we went through this session, we thought, we had to go and change, because now our other sons are older now. So we had to go back and make sure that we are updating about that teapot. If it's one teapot, two teapots, or whatever, but we need to begin to update it on a regular basis so that everybody to make sure that everybody have our final wishes, say it like that, our final wish.
And I will say that, our estate planner, he does check in, and so you do want to get with an attorney or estate planner who's, you know, you do pay for that, but they check in with you once a month. And so one of the things that you want to definitely come back to is, even as you think about, like I said, as you think about this year, check in, sit down once a month. You want to check in, and as these things change, update these things, because this is something that you want to make those changes as those things change in your life.
Well, and one other thing I will say, you were bringing up children. A lot of times when we are we're parents of young children, we're here in that moment. It's one of the most important things for you to put in writing. If something were to happen to you, who would you want to raise your children? In my case, I'm an only child. My husband has 5 siblings. Quite frankly, none of whom I would have wanted to raise my children, just to be honest. But, you know, you have to select something. You know, it's your parents, but then as you get, if your parents are older, or your parents deceased. So, you know, not to overwhelm everybody and to be sort of a Debbie Downer, but, you know, life happens, and sometimes you just don't know. And as we all have said, as difficult as these conversations can be to think about the unthinkable, there are things that getting those things in order is an act of love for your family. So that's the way to think of it.
And to Sandra's point, when my husband and I sat down with our estate planner, my husband and I had to talk about who would take care of our children should we be traveling. You do have to fill out who would take care of your children should both of you all be gone and traveling, and Lord forbid something would happen to the both of us. Who would you want to take care of our children? We had to really have that uncomfortable conversation. And although we, I knew my oldest brother would not be that person, and we love his mother and father, and I told him that wouldn't be the person we wanted to do that. We had to have that conversation. So we chose my another family member, and I also had to tell him, we discussed making sure that they knew where this legacy keeper would be, because we needed them to know that should something happen, you would go get, talk to the estate planner, but then you still need to know the small details. So all of that was looped in that conversation so that it is all full circle, to her point, that You get the children, you get this, and everything makes sense so that you all would be able to run how you need to make sure that not only are my children taken care of, but you understand this is the person to talk to, this is the life insurance policy, and these are the small details for the business state and what happens in our day-to-day stuff as to access bills and things like that do we need you to do on our behalf. So, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yes, my name is Alice, and my question is, if you have a will made out that you've gotten from ordered, say you ordered a will, and then you filled it out and had it taken it to a bank and had it notarized, is that sufficient, or you must go to an attorney?
In Mississippi, that is sufficient. As I said, you do not have to have an attorney to have a will. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Thank you.
Okay, I was just making sure. Yeah, it would be sufficient as long as you put your, you've had it notarized, witnessed and notarized. You're good.
Great. Thank you.
I have a question about the Legacy Keeper. Do you how can we purchase one of those? Are you selling those? You might have said, but I didn't hear.
I think Sharon's I do have a website, My COINZ Journal. My understanding is that Sharon will be putting that link on you all's website. Is that correct, Sharon?
Correct. It will be on our website, and I will send out that information as well. And if you don't get the information, please, most of you have my contact information, and I give you my number, 601-497-9884. Again, that's 601-497-9884. Call me and I can get you that link to that information so you can get that valuable tool. And I want to say something as well to Olivia's question about, how to start that conversation. And what I'm honestly thinking about, because Brandee came over and talked to a small group that I meet with monthly. But I'm almost thinking about also having Brandee, invested in Brandee to come out to my larger family, my mom, her sisters, my uncles, and siblings, and things of that nature, and present this information either face-to-face or via Zoom. And I just encourage you to even consider that, because it is hard for us to just bring that conversation up, and it's hard for them sometimes to just talk to us about it. But bringing in an outsider to begin that conversation for our families and letting them hear her story of what she went through might make it easier for them to begin that conversation, because I don't think we really look at the big picture of things. We don't think about if we're going to die. We don't think about if I'm in the hospital for so many months and things like that. Who can the children carry on financially for us if they don't have access to our resources? So I do encourage you to reach out. Brandee, please give us your contact number or a contact email address as well, so that if somebody wants to reach out to you afterwards, that they can. And we will also have it on the website. But Brandee, if you don't mind sharing that information now too.
Okay. My contact information is Brandee. That's BRANDEE. So it's Brandee at LegacyKeepersInc.com.
So if questions come about, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's Brandee at LegacyKeepersInc.com. And you can order that tool at www.mycoinz, COINZ, mycoinzjournal.com. Thank you all so much for these questions. Thank you so much for your attention. I have enjoyed being with you all, and I hope you all secure your coins, and I hope you all enjoyed that quiz, and let me know what your score was. I hope you found that quiz to be helpful.
And say something. Go ahead. Do we have another question?
Yes, I'm very nice. And I would like for her to put as well, send that link so I can take the quiz online. because I couldn't
Okay.
get into the quiz.
Okay.
Did I hear another voice? A good friend of mine is on the call, and she just emailed, texted me another great point to to answer Olivia's question. She said this would be great to incorporate during a family reunion. And I think that would be absolutely awesome when you have all the family members there. And even, putting it in, maybe the cost of the journal as a part of their registration, as a gift or something of that nature. Even getting a sponsorship to get, a sponsor to purchase so many books for family members or give them out as door prizes and things like that. Because this gift is priceless. I can't put a price on it of getting all of your information that your loved ones would need in case something happens to you. So great idea. Thank you, Andrea. Shout out to you for sending that in.
Okay, Andrea, let me know, and I'll be happy to show up at the family reunion.
I love it, love it. Any other questions?
I think that's all the questions.
It was awesome. But I have one announcement that
Okay, please, at this time, please, any community announcements, please share at this time.
yes, I have a community announcement. There's actually a site that I'm gonna send to Ms. Nelly about free COVID testing, home testing that's for household information that I will be sending out. That anyone is interested in it, and she'll put it on the website for me. And also, this is cervical cancer month, and I'm encouraging everyone to go out and get their PAP, and if not, also to get your HPV vaccine if you haven't gotten it as well. And stay safe from COVID.
Thank you, George. Anyone else with an announcement? Any additional announcement? Let me read this one. I did get this one. Creating tobacco cessation opportunities in the Delta region. They will be having a network meeting. It's going to be January 26th, 2022 from 6 to 7:30. And what I'll do is this will be on our link as well. And you'll be able to go to this particular link and register. This is a coalition of tobacco cessation opportunities in the Delta region, River region area. So we will also place this on our website as well. Any additional community announcements from our community partners?
Sharon?
Yes, ma'am.
Sharon, this is Belinda Lane, and I work with the...
Belinda, I hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I work with the Mississippi Organ Recovery Agency, and I heard Sandra mention that particular issue. It's a conversation that we also encourage folks to have in their families and with their loved ones as well. But I also want to let you guys know that we provide free presentations to high school students that are in health science classes, biology classes, driver's education classes. They are absolutely free. If you'd like to be a part of those, we are more than happy to come out and provide that presentation for you face-to-face or online via Zoom or Teams. So please, if you'd like to have those presentations, we also provide some goodies for the students and all participants. And my name again is Belinda Lane, and I work for Mississippi Organ Recovery Agency.
Belinda, if you would, give a number that they can contact you at.
Absolutely. My number is 601-955-4548. That's 601-955-4548. And again, we provide those presentations at absolutely no cost to you. And we also do community outreach activities. So if you have something going on in your communities and you want us to set up a booth or table, we'll also do that with health facilities as well.
And Melinda, if you could send me a flyer, if you all have a flyer about that or some information, please share it with me and I can get it on the website.
Sure thing.
Thank you. And I heard another voice coming in.
Mrs. Nettles?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Shantry Hathorn.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well. I have an announcement, if you will.
Okay.
Okay. Great day, everyone. I would like to announce that the Holmes County Career and Technical Center will begin adult education classes for any persons who are 18 years or older that live in Holmes County or in driving distance to Holmes County. Registration, it will take place on January the 25th. Classes are welding, auto body paint and refinishing, medical billing and coding, ICD-10, administrative office training, and introduction to computer. If you would like more information, you are free to call 662-834-3052. Thank you, Mrs. Nettles, for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for sharing. Great opportunities for our adults in the area. Any additional community announcements? Sandra, did you have anything else to say before we close out?
Nope.
Okay.
Can you hear me? No, I'm good. It was a great call. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, it was a great for our first partnership power hour. This was absolutely, as you say, a power hour. I thank you so much, Brandee, for the information. Absolutely amazing. You have my wheels in my head continuing to turn about how far behind I am. And I'm playing catch up. But I plan to catch up in 2022 to make sure that we leave our family members well taken care of. We don't want to leave them in a state of just disarray. So I'm just encouraging you all to reach out to her if she can provide a service for you and the family. I think great idea. I called my Andrea Nash, resource coordinator. She is always coming up with some awesome ideas, and family reunions would be a perfect place to be able to share this information so everybody can be on one accord. So again, I cannot say thank you enough. Just as we did with the Terrific Tuesday Community Connection call, we urge our community partners to please share this information with your community. Do not keep this information to yourself. Please share it, because we don't want to see someone that we're connected to going through something that we could have helped them prevent. So I'm just excited again to just share this information. I'm excited about the information getting out on our website. And I'm just excited about what we're going to do in 2022 as families on the calls, as community partners. When we meet out, and I'm going to say, hey, you got the stuff in order. You're going to tell me, yes, you do have it in order. So I'm just excited about that. Again, please reach out to Brandee if you need additional information on her services. And we will have the journal information on the website so that you can get your hands on this valuable information. If there is nothing else, until we meet again in 2 weeks, if you want to get on the call log or we send out a text messaging system for the calls. If you would like to be on that text messaging system where you would get a reminder text the day before of this, of the power hour, and you will get a reminder the morning of, so you won't forget about the call, please send me your information. Please send me your email address. Send me your phone number and name, and I will get you and put it into that system. Again, my name is Sharon Nettles. You can reach me at 601-497-9884, and we will get you on there. Again, stay safe. Continue to wear your mask. Continue to social distance, and continue to wash your hands. And we look forward to everyone joining us in 2 weeks. We love you, and have an awesome week. Thank you.